Hello. I think one of the questions that plagues all of us is, at some point, is in the relationship we're saying out loud to the universe, to anyone that will hear us, to the narcissists themselves. We constantly are just thinking, wondering, racking our brains. Why can't they just do what needs to be done? What should be done? Why can't they just behave a certain way? Okay? There are human behaviors that are acceptable and that are not acceptable. And when you witness your narcissist over and over and over again commit acts of horrific nature, you say to yourself, but we've been through this. You know, you've explained it to them. It's not that hard. It seems relatively simple. You're not asking for this, and this to be given to you in the way that would cause them even effort. You're just asking for this, and this to not be done to you. If I could just have you not do these things, why can't they? Why can't you just... Seems easy, and I outlined everything for my narcissist, and I'm here to just tell you the reason, the short answer, they are just not capable. Even if they know, even if you outline it for them, especially if you outline it for them. They're not built that way. Their brain works differently, and their disorder, even if you've outlined it for them, their disorder works against them every step of the way, as it dictates their behavior and insists that they have these defense mechanisms in place that rejects any and other healthy behavior. Does that make sense? Did I say that with too many words that didn't come out right? The narcissism that they have developed as a result of whatever happened to them in their childhood, that's their defense mechanism. The disorder itself prevents them from obtaining any healthy behaviors. So, and mostly they just don't care. They just don't care. There's nothing there. If you ever actually sit them down and talk to them, which I think I've made it clear I've done 1 billion times, their eyes are dead. They look away. They don't look at you when you talk to them. All the times I've told you I've talked to my narcissist, it's like this. Okay, so wait, I look here for you to see my eyes, right? So as I'm talking to him, it was like this. Yeah, well, you know. I mean, they never look right at you. They can't make that kind of contact. That would be a vulnerability that they're not willing to share. And they will never give up power and control and agree to your outlines for their behavior. Oh my God, no. They must abuse to feel better, and they must take from you and squash you to elevate themselves. All of those things are reasons that they could never and would never do what needs to be done. As simple as it seems to you. You're thinking with a normal human functioning brain. So why can't you just, this is incorrect. Universally, there are human behaviors that are considered incorrect. Cheating on somebody, betraying somebody, being disloyal. All of those things I think are considered incorrect. Universally, let's just say. So you say to yourself, I've explained it to you. That behavior itself is a physical thing. Can't you just stop yourself from doing that? They can't. And they won't. They must abuse you to elevate themselves and feel better. It is impossible for the narcissist to give over part of themselves, be brave, get vulnerable, and succeed in forming some kind of cohesive relationship or attachment to love, basically. That's impossible for them to do. It is impossible. And they're not interested in doing it anyway. These are not excuses for their behavior. And one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is to get to this very point. I want to make sure that people, because I did do this, be careful not to use these as excuses because now you feel bad for them. I went through that. Oh, poor thing. I did that. Poor thing. Something happened to him in childhood. Ooh, poor thing. He can't love. Ooh, poor thing. No, no, no. I even managed to ask my narcissist during the subsequent months and months and months after our breakup, with the hoovering and him trying to say he wants to be back together and all this. I even managed to ask him, do you think you're behaving like somebody who's trying to get somebody back? And the answer was clearly no. And he answered quickly. He goes, well, no. So with your words, you think that I'm going to hear those and not see behaviors A through Z prime, A through Z. He did the same things over and over again that were deplorable. So do you think, he said no. And I said, so why is that? I don't know, I guess I'm just a jerk. Like, they can't even come up with reasons. And when you explain it to them, why can't you just behave this way? Why can't you just behave that way? It's like all they'd have to do is this, and this you're explaining to them, and then everything would be great. But remember, they're not regular. They won't do the normal thing. They're not us. They're not you. And normal and regular, those are subjective words, and I recognize that. But you get my point. It's not our job. It wasn't my job. It's not anyone's job. And eventually what ends up happening with the narcissist, the poor narcissist, the can gets kicked down the street. And nobody ever deals with it because nobody can. There's nothing anybody can do to fix them. So the can gets kicked down the street and nothing ever gets resolved. And I think what happens with the narcissist is eventually when a relationship ends with the narcissist, it's because the person that they were with in the relationship ends up seeing that the first false self that they encountered with the love bombing, that was a mask. And that was to hide their abusive self that comes out in the devaluing phase of triangulation and gaslighting and all of that. And that mask, that abusive mask, is to disguise the broken child, the hurt child, the child who's full of self-hatred and self-loathing and has no value. And that abusive mask that hides that also hides the fact that they lack any tools required to do the right thing. I know that is a really desperate, despondent look at the entire state of the narcissist. But I really want to make it clear to those that are hanging on thinking this poor thing, I'm going to help them. They lack the tools to deal with making the right choices. So they cannot do the right thing. They will never come up with the answers of doing the right thing. And if they did, you say, oh, but last week on Tuesday afternoon at 2:37, he said this. And then at 3 o'clock, he did it. Okay. What did he do at 4 o'clock? Because in a state of stillness, if they say something that sounds good and it presents itself as the truth because they followed it up with one act that reflected that sentiment, I venture to challenge you and ask you, did it remain? Because they may even say they meant it when they said it, but their truth changes. They are like a revolving door of feelings that are non-feelings. Does that make any sense? They're not real. If he did say something to you last Tuesday at 2:37 and then followed up at 3 o'clock, it's because he was trying to manipulate you into thinking that this was his truth. And that's why probably by 4 o'clock he was singing a different tune, mad again already, misbehaving again already, and doing the opposite of what he said to you at 2:37. They are incapable of loving you the way that you think you love them, or the way that you may find with another healthy individual. It is a sad state of affairs for them. It's a bleak, bleak outlook. That was also part of what I refused. My sunshiny way took a long time to see that the outlook really is bleak. The research is true, and they just don't have the capability of doing what needs to be done. Because you're right, it is very simple. You've laid it out for him, maybe. I did. Look, this is very simple. This is how one human behaves. This is how the other behaves. And this is what is necessary to go forward and have a nice gig together. In one ear, out the other. If you're feeling frustrated because he keeps doing the same things again and again and again, it's because they are incapable. And you might say, well, how can they be incapable? It's not that hard. They live in a different world. They feel differently as they move through the earth. They know they're wired differently. And they will keep attacking you to make themselves feel better about themselves. That is what all of the abuse and the devaluation is about. They have to feel better about themselves. And there's no possible way that they think that you can love them. And if you really do love them, then that does something negative about you, because they know that they are nothing but a big pile of negative, broken pieces that will never be fixed. I know that's a bleak, bleak outlook, but I just wanted to make it clear to you so that you're not racking your brain at your next lunch with your girlfriends if you are confiding in them saying, but why can't he just behave right? That's why. Because he's a narcissist. It's very simple in the end. I'm sorry. Chin up, though.